All right, back to this legal breaking news. R&B singer R. Kelly has been sentenced to 30 years in prison after being found guilty of racketeering and a number of other charges in a federal sex trafficking case in New York last year. Let's bring in legal analyst Ari Goldkind with his immediate reaction. Ari, what do you think?
You know, it's a really interesting decision, Todd, because we are seeing that these kinds of sentences are now going over and above the usual sentencing guidelines in the States. This is the second judge this week. Ghislaine Maxwell was somebody who got, again, more than the sentencing guidelines seem to have suggested, and a judge went over and above them. So for R. Kelly to get 30 years, just for people to understand, it's different than our system in Canada. They sentence people differently, particularly in New York. They use what are called sentencing guidelines. The prosecution asked for more than 25. The defense asked for something in the range of just over 10. That's important. Now, I thought the defense submissions as to why he should get less were extremely weak. Just for people who aren't intimately aware of this, he claimed he was sexually abused as a child by his sister. That's what made him do this, that he can't read, that he's unsophisticated. When you look at what he was convicted for, and if you look at that chart there, the sex trafficking, he was a racketeering charge and also all sorts of issues with underage women. That's the key to this story.
Are you
Is the number of
surprised? Yeah, are you surprised, Ari?
I'm not surprised because we're in a climate right now. Again, remember the surviving R. Kelly story. This was the height of the Me Too movement. This is not Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. This is a very different fish. And Todd, when you delve into what he actually did to these young women, I want to be clear. This is not minor trifling stuff. At the time that we're talking this afternoon, it would shock people, especially if there were children watching, to hear the many grotesque things he put underage women through. That's leaving aside the very famous fraud he perpetrated with Aaliyah, who was 13 or 14 at the time of that sham marriage. All sorts of very grotesque things he did to underage people. And I thought his defense team's submissions as to why he deserved a break were really something that would enrage or make the judge hammer him harder. This is a judge not new to fame. She was very outspoken on a Trump order years ago, and she has clearly given him even more than the prosecution sought. And she said, people need to learn a lesson, and this is exactly why she's hammering him with this kind of
We
sentence.
have about 30 seconds. What does it mean for him now?
Well, Todd, he still has very significant problems in Minnesota and in Illinois. He's got child pornography charges. He's got a various assortment of other charges in those two jurisdictions. He will, and I don't say this easily or with levity, he will die in jail. That was part of the submission of his defense team, 10 years, no more than that. But given his age, given what he's looking at in Illinois and what he's looking at in Minnesota, the rest of his life is going to be wearing the orange jumpsuit that we just saw him wearing on that screen.
R&B singer R. Kelly sentenced to 30 years. Legal analyst Ari Goldkind with his take. Thank you, Ari.
Thank you, Todd.